Now let's finish our lesson with the logical operators, right? The logical operators are AND, OR, and NOT. All right, let's start with the AND logical operator. This logical operator allows us to evaluate if two or more conditions are true. All right, if they are, the final result is true. So it evaluates individually, gets the output result of each condition, and if all of them are true, it returns true. If one of them is false, if one of them is not true, it returns false. All right, so this logical operator is a strict comparison between Boolean outputs. For this evaluation return true, every result of every comparison must be true. All right, let's put in practice. So let's evaluate if someone can join our programming contest. All right, so the first thing we are going to evaluate if the person is a programmer. All right, if the person is not a programmer, the person cannot join. So profession, programmer. The second thing that we have to evaluate is if the person paid the tax to join our context. So payment status equals true. All right, so the profession is programmer and the payment status is true. So when we compare profession, let's put here can enter receives profession equals programmer. If we print can enter, we are going to see that yes, it can, right? The person can enter because it's a programmer. But you can see here that we didn't evaluate the payment status. How can we do this? Using the AND operator. All right, so AND payment status equals true, right? Let's see, can enter. But let's change this. The person didn't is a programmer but didn't pay. False. You see, one of the conditions is true, but the other one is not. And this could be the opposite. The person can have paid the tax, but it's like a politician. He's not a programmer, he's a politician. Let's see if this person can enter. No, it can't. The person can't enter because although the payment was made, the profession is not the profession that we have put as a filter to participate in our programming contest, in our hypothetical programming contest. All right, so this is how the AND logical operator works. And let me use this situation to show you that when you are evaluating a Boolean data, You don't need to make it explicit like this. All right, you cannot, you don't need to put like payment status equals true. No, you can just put payment status. All right, if you put a Boolean variable in a comparison, Python already interprets for you as, is that true? All right, so if I put and payment status, it's the same thing of this, but with no need to write. All right, so let me get this out. So that's how the AND logical operator works. For something to be true, all conditions must be true. If one of them is not true, the final result is false, right? You could have like 10 conditions here. If 9 conditions are true but one is false, the result would be false. All right, the return of this logical operation will be false. And with that said, you can imagine that the OR logical operator, it's a little more flexible, all right? Because the OR logical operator returns true even if not every condition, not every comparison returns true. If just one of the conditions are true, that's okay, the person can enter, all right? So in this case, if I run now, we're going to see that it's going to return true, right? Because what's the profession for someone to participate of our contest? The profession is programmer. Is this person a programmer? No, this person is a politician. But we have other condition, that is, or payment status true. All right, so if the person is not a programmer, but the person paid, the person can enter. So is this case, this politician paid, so he can enter, no problem. The opposite is also true. So programmer but didn't pay. When we use the OR, this programmer that didn't pay is going to participate because he's a programmer. It doesn't matter if he didn't pay, all right? Because one of the conditions is true. So we could have 10 conditions. If 9 are false but one is true, because of that one, it returns true. And in this situation that we are exercising right now, this hypothetical programming contest, the person can enter if it's not a programmer but paid, if is a programmer but didn't pay, right? And we only use 2 conditions here, 2 parameters here to compare, but we could use many ones. So if we had 10 conditions, we could compare the 10 conditions. But remember, if you are using the OR logical operator to compare, if every condition is false but one is true, it returns true. If you are using the AND logical operator, if every condition is true except for one condition, it returns false, right? This is like how you think about the logical operators AND and OR. So that's how logical operators work, and in general, that's how operators work in Python. We have arithmetic operators, we have comparison operators, and we have the logical operators. If you know how they work, you are going to be able to express powerful logic code, all right? Powerful logical code. These 3 types of operators combined are going to give you power to write powerful code, all right? Because with arithmetic operators, logical operators, and comparison operators, you can write logic that thinks, all right? Of course, not deeply as an artificial intelligence will think, but huge comparisons and huge analysis, huge decision making, huge answers you can discover with these three kinds of operators. All right, so that's it for today. These are some of the real interviews that I recorded to show you how real companies interview developers from inside. Use them to prepare for real interviews and get the job of your dreams. Go to marosacademy.com or click the link below.